Okay, so we are on page 20 of April 12th edition, Junior Scholastic, and we're doing the map skills page. So we're going to start with this a drying Amazon. It says this map shows the severity of drought conditions in the Amazon rainforest. Many of the zones of heaviest drought, marked as exceptional in the key, fall within the Amazon's most heavily deforested areas. Study the map and then answer the questions below. So let's go ahead and study the map. We're going to look at this. First thing I like to do is read any captions or anything. And then, of course, we're talking about South America here. It says drought levels. And then this is as of January 21st through the 31st in 2021. If there's no drought, then the color is green. So all of this dotted line, all of this colored region in here is considered part of the Amazon rainforest. So whenever they're talking about Amazon rainforest, it might be in part of a country, but not all of it. Like if we look here at, let's say, Bolivia here, you can see that this is all part of Bolivia, but only a little portion of Bolivia is actually in the Amazon rainforest. That's something that you should note before we start this. So in the areas where it's green, we'll see that that means there's no drought in that area. Then yellow is abnormally dry, so in these areas that are like a light yellow. And then we've got two colors orange. We'll call this moderate a light orange, and then the severe a dark orange. Extreme, we're getting worse and worse here, and we go to red. And then exceptional means it's really bad. So in these areas here, it's really bad in those regions where it's that darkest color. These are exceptional regions showing the worst part of the droughts. Okay. So we've kind of went over the key a little bit. So let's look down. The extent of the Amazon rainforest is in this dotted region. If we look, we can see that this dotted region is all of this colored area inside of this is part of the Amazon rainforest. So I would consider all of this part of the Amazon rainforest, and then that is inside of that dotted region. And then, of course, national capitals have a blue dot with a white star inside. Cities are just with a black dot. So let's go ahead and look at number 1. It says, most of the Amazon rainforest is located in which country? So now let's look at all of the countries that own part of the rainforest. I'm going to use blue here. So this is part of Colombia here. So I can see that Colombia owns part of the rainforest. And then you see that this little chunk of Ecuador also. Peru here, you can see that that's part of it. And then if we keep looking here, we see Venezuela has part of it. Guyana, Suriname. And then this is not a country, but it's a French territory called French Guyana. Going to need that later on. Look at Brazil. Brazil is a massive country. Okay. And then part of Bolivia owns the rainforest. So, okay, now let's get back to the question again, just in case we forgot what it was we were even asked to do. It says, most of the Amazon rainforest is located in which country? So one of these countries that I just circled owns most of the rainforest, or makes up most of the rainforest. So name that country. Remember, in Junior Scholastic magazines, they differentiate between countries by capitalizing the whole thing. Countries and cities are different because they capitalize the whole thing to show that that's the country. And these cities have, first is the bigger letter, but the rest are lowercase. Remember when you're writing these down, that when you do write a country, even though they're all caps in the Junior Scholastic magazine, you don't capitalize the whole thing. you just capitalize the first letter. So this is going to have the country that owns most of the Amazon rainforest. All right, let's look at number 2 here. It says the rainforest is also located in what 7 other countries and what territory of France? So now you're looking at these other countries that are part of the Amazon rainforest. So if they have a little chunk of the rainforest inside that country, you should have 7 of them other than the one that we just mentioned. But then don't forget to also name the territory of France. So you should have 8 things down here, 7 countries and 1 territory of France. Don't name the country that you already mentioned here in number 1. All right. So you can always pause this because I know that that's a lot of countries that you need to write down. So let's go on to number 3. It says most of the areas of drought on the map appear south of what waterway? So remember, waterways are blue. So we're going to look at the area that has the most drought. So if I look at this map and I'm going to circle the area that has the most drought, I guess I could pick another color. It's going to be this area down here. So it says most areas of drought appear south, so this is south of something, of what waterway? So there is a very famous waterway, and it has 2 names, a first and a last name. So the first letter of the first name gets capitalized, and the first letter of the last name gets capitalized. So look for that waterway. You want to look for a blue area, and that will show you this waterway. So, of course, you can always pause. Make sure that you write both first and last name down, and then you capitalize the first letter of the first name and the first letter of the last name. Let's go to number 4 now. Number 4 says, which country has the second largest areas of exceptional drought? Okay, so here's the areas of exceptional drought because I'm using this key down here. So one country has the most and another country has the second most. So I would write the name of that particular country, and you better get this one right because it's actually going to be part of number 5. So look for the country that has the second largest areas of exceptional drought, not the first largest, and name that country. That's number 4. This should be quickly written down because it's a very short word. If that gives you any kind of hint. Let's look at number 5. Number 5 says, what landform separates the rainforest from the rest of that country? So the country that you named here has a landform in it that separates the rainforest from the rest of the country. Remember, landforms are things like deserts, plateaus, mountains, basins would be all considered landforms. So look for the landform that separates that country from the rainforest. Like part of the country's in the rainforest, the other part is not, because this landform is here. This landform also has a first and last name, so make sure you write both of them down, and it's a first name and a last name, so you capitalize the first letter in each first and last name. Let's go look at number 6. Which rainforest country with coastline on the Pacific Ocean has the least amount of drought? Okay, so we're going to look for the Pacific Ocean. Here's the Atlantic over here, the Caribbean Sea, and oh, here's the Pacific Ocean down here. So it's got to be touching this water here, guys. Got to be touching the water. It's got to own part of the Amazon rainforest, and it's got to have the least amount of drought. So I would look for one that's got mostly green in it and name that country. Okay, and remember, since you're naming the country, it's a proper noun, it gets capitalized, not the entire thing. but just the first letter in that name. And I give you a hint, it's fun to say this name, so it's kind of a fun word to say. Let's look at number 7. Number 7 says, about how many straight line miles separate Brasilia from Sao Paulo? Okay, first we'd have to find those. So let's go ahead and find those, and they're right here. Here's Brasilia, and here's Sao Paulo. So what you do is you lay the corner of your paper on this dot, and have the straight edge going all the way down here. Mark a little spot where Sao Paulo is, and then it's asking how many miles. So go to the scale on your map and see how many 200 miles you get out of there between here and here. Add them up. If you get so many 200 and then you get one that's halfway between, well, you know, you'd add 100 to that. Okay, so you're trying to figure out the distance in miles from this dot to this dot. All right, so let's go to number 8. Number 8 says, which national capitals are located within the rainforest area? So how do we find national capitals? Well, they're a blue dot with a white star in it. And now we are looking for these blue dots with the white star inside of this colored region, which stands for the Amazon rainforest. I'll give you a hint. There are 2 of them. Name both of the national capitals that are in this colored area, which stands for the Amazon rainforest. There are 2. The next one says, what named line of latitude passes just north of Quito, Ecuador? So find Quito, Ecuador. Now I'll give you all of the latitude lines are, it starts from the top of the globe, which is the Arctic Circle. And then the Tropic of Cancer is the next named line of latitude. The next named line of latitude is the equator. And then now I'm going south of the equator here. The next latitude is the Tropic of Capricorn. And then the last named line of latitude is the Antarctic Circle. So it's one of those. So name that line of latitude just north of Quito, Ecuador that has a name to it. It won't just be like 10, 20, 30. It won't be one of those. It's going to be actually given a name. And then the very last one, it says, what are the approximate latitude and longitude of Manaus, Brazil? So this one is a little more, I better turn it to that. So, okay, we're going to go to Brazil here. We're going to find Manaus here. So the first thing I'd do is I'd look for the 2 latitude lines that it comes in between it. So it's between this one and this one. So I know it's between 0 and 10 degrees south. So I need to remember it's south. Then I would go in between those 2 lines that I just drew on my magazine. I draw a line right in the middle. So I know between 0 and 10, the number between those 2 is 5. So now I've got it whittled down. It's between 0 and 5 degrees. So you could make lines in here, put 4 lines in here, and then figure out what that number is. So then you're going to put a number. You're going to put a degrees sign. Of course, you can't do this on Edge Elastic, so you'll leave the degree sign out when you put it in Edge Elastic. Then you're going to write either north or south here. It's either going to be north of the equator or south of the equator. And then you're going to put a comma. After that, we have to figure out what the line of longitude is. Now, this is really easy because it's directly on a line of longitude. All you have to do is follow that line and then name it. The name is right there. I guess if you want to go a little less or a little more, I guess it would be a little more. You could do that, but it's not much. So I would just name that line. And that'll give you your second part of your coordinates. So then you're going to have a number, a degree sign, and it's either going to be east or west of the prime meridian. So you'll have number, degree sign, north or south, because you're always doing latitude lines first, then number, or comma, then number, degree sign, and then either east or west, because we always do longitude last. All right, good luck on this. When you're finished, upload this to Edge Elastic.